All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. It is me, OC Steve. Thanks for checking in on the channel once again. And we have an interesting fan interview. This is someone who has taken their fandom to that next level. And I always enjoy talking to people that are fans of New Japan from different walks of life. So this is somebody who put their money where their mouth was and took it to the next level. I wanted to invite him on. I checked out the first issue. I enjoyed it a lot. So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce my guest today. I'll politely give you the floor.
Thom Fain. I go by New Japan Reporter on Twitter. It's just a funny thing. I started at Globe Theater one day. I was like, hey, I'm going to be the New Japan Reporter. And, here we are about 2 years later, and I'm making a magazine.
And so what brought you, and that's the one thing I always like to do, is there's lapse fans, there's fans that kind of put it to the side, there's fans that are like, I just don't dig what the E's doing, and I want to find something else. This was before there was an alternative on TNT, so self-proclaimed. So what brought you to the world of New Japan Pro Wrestling?
I didn't watch wrestling for years and years and years, and I caught on to CM Punk and Daniel Bryan's storylines in WWE very shortly, and I kind of followed the breadcrumbs back from there to the Indies, and then I realized all these guys that were floating between Japan and here, doing PWG or whatever, here in SoCal, and really, I would catch YouTube clips here and there, but it honestly wasn't until Alpha versus Omega. It was the 2017 hype for Jericho versus Kenny Omega that really brought me into the fold. Honestly, everything I know about New Japan's history is from Chris Charlton's 2 books. Without his context and without the great work he does, and without having read his 2 books, I'd be shooting blind here. But yeah, 2017, I clicked subscribe New Japan World, never looked back.
And how long have you been going to PWG?
I've only been to one PWG event, but I've been to every single New Japan event in California besides the Cow Palace show since 2018.
Cool. Yeah, likewise here. So it's funny that we've never crossed paths until this
Maybe
before.
We did.
Probably did. You probably witnessed me at the last one at the Globe where ELP threw my hat like a discus to the opera box. Yeah. I was sitting ringside there in November.
That guy. Yeah.
So I would just, so you've been to events here locally. So I take it you haven't been to Japan proper then.
That's the next step. I've been wanting to go to Japan since I was a little kid, and Tokyo Dome, obviously, Korakuen, Osaka Choho. I want to do all that. So that'd be great.
And so the development of the magazine, kind of, if you would mind explaining how that baby came into existence, your project, your love child there.
So Walter Yeats, one of the writers that's helping us out, he had just got hired as well for Pro Wrestling Illustrated. Congrats to Walter. It's at Smooth Wrestling on Twitter. He's a great guy, done a great job for us. Very good with historical journalism and op-eds. He and I were riffing in a comments thread about some digital content that we weren't too keen on, and all the GIFs being made, and there's certain websites, they're trying to put their own spin on the rumor mill and things like that. And I'm like, dude, we could be doing something so much cooler. There's so much talent that I see in the wrestling community, because I, one after another, would get people to just follow my account based on some replies and different things I was saying. After going to those events, I was inspired. I spent 8 years as a journalist. I have a way with words. So Lance Archer had agreed to interview with me, and I did that for What Culture, and I realized What Culture is just a big clickbait machine. Thanks for the opportunity, but not cool with you guys. And I was like, I could do something so much cooler. I don't want to do a website. I don't want to do a podcast. I don't want to do backstage dirt. I want to write about this Greek tragedy that's happening before us, and the athleticism, and capture these moments with just really cool editorial and really, really awesome artwork and photography. And I want to print it, because who does print these days? Not a lot of guys. Me. Because I love having to be able to hold a piece of culture in my hands and refer back to it. I buy books. I like buying artwork. It's part of who I am as a older millennial, as somebody that's done so much work in journalism and newspapers and stuff. So I was like, kind of in the vein of Bill Apter's magazines. I just thought it'd be really cool to do something that was Japanese specific So we've got a lot of great stuff in issue 1. We're really, really proud of it. And we got issue 2 coming out very soon.
Yeah, I mean, fortunately, I was able to pick up a first issue, and I cannot say enough how great it was to have a physical piece of media in your hand. Great glossy details. Like you said before, the illustrations are amazing. That first issue has this solid page of ELP, and that artwork literally could almost be like canvas print. Like you could put that up on a wall. Like just amazing. And what's the thing that I enjoy is it's just not for American fans. You really took that next step by putting in Japanese kanji, so it's an international product that takes it to the next level in that way. So it's not just like exclusive for us American fans, it's literally for everybody who has the ability to enjoy New Japan.
Absolutely. We wanted to get a proper Japanese translation. That's not Google Translate. I hired a translator and she did an amazing job. And we got a few orders from Japan. This is a first of its kind thing. I didn't know what to expect. I was overwhelmed with the support. A lot of Japanese fans will DM me through Google Translate and tell me, they love my page, they love my Twitter, they love what we're doing. And I was like, great. If these guys are going to take time out of their day to talk to me using a translator algorithm, then I feel like I should go hire like a human that really can speak to them and can really translate like our interview with TJ Perkins, that a lot of details about his life and his inspiration and how he went from LA Dojo to WWE and back, those things that they may not be able to get without getting the magazine.
Yeah, and I've kind of dealt with that when you with the advent of internet. Sometimes we get to interact with other fans on the other side of the world. So to have that ability and to have the good translation so they can get the stories too, versus kind of having to sometimes they feel a little trepidation and they need to go through somebody who's bilingual to kind of be this mediary for them. They can take that stigma out of it and just enjoy the product that they have in their hands. So I think that's very worthwhile too.
Thank you, man. Yep, totally.
And so it's just neat. It's just, I enjoyed that. There was a great article about Minoru Suzuki. You kind of broke down his history too in that first issue that really caught my eye. And then
it's something, Kevin Kelly did. He did it back in the day. And, shout out to Kevin Kelly for giving us those great, match broadcasts. But, look back to when we were kids. We had WWF for All the magazine. We had a lot of cool stuff that we could buy that as fans, as, people that just wanted more, that loved it. And, yeah, so I just want to keep doing it. I want to keep creating it. And I'm glad you liked it. And I hope, people watching the video will pick up a copy.
And so that was how I was going to say, too, is what was the stigma, or at least the initial thing? Did you have to reach out to Twitter? How did you start cultivating those interviews?
What funny thing, The Rock I was at Thanksgiving dinner at a Japanese restaurant doing Japanese barbecue over here in LA and Gyukaku, and I was getting bored, family talk. I'd open my phone, I was just scrolling my New Japan Twitter, and TJP had said something about, wanting to feel challenged. And I quoted The Rock. I said, you know what, dude, do you remember what The Rock said? I always got to be the hardest worker in the room. And The Rock responded to both of us. And then boom, my feed just started exploding with notifications. So from there, TJ added me, and we've enjoyed, some dialogue and some conversation, both about wrestling, training, working out, and life in general. And he's like, dude, if you ever want to do something, let me know. And so very generous of him, busy guy, busy tour schedule. He's going from Impact to New Japan to, doing indie events. And he's continually hungry, trying to find the next challenge. And so for him to take the time out of his day to do an interview with me was awesome. I'm happy I got The Rock to mess with him. Like everybody from Kevin Owens started jumping in and interacting with that little thread that we started, he and I. So that's kind of how that happened. I met ELP actually at an event, total asshole to me, but he was cool enough to give me a couple of comments for another article I did. And then from there, it's just trying to build trust and continuing to put out, smart takes and talk to really how the fans are feeling about what we see on screen and not try to get into anything too far backstage, not try to get into anything too in depth, but just really about how awesome the product is.
And I think that's a challenge in itself, because everybody wants to have that inside scoop or try to reveal something. And I think it's that even keel that really sets this magazine apart in comparison, because you really call it as sports journalism.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you know, it's wrestling. We do know, wink, wink,
Right.
the inside track of kayfabe and things like that. But that's
which I hope is not dead. You know, I love the magic of not knowing. Like I said, Greek tragedy and watching everything unfold and just being like, oh no, they're not going to do that. Those kinds of things. I love preserving that feeling of suspense, and then just putting a mirror up and reflecting it back in something print that you can hold. That's the whole goal, man.
And that's
like
I think is been lost a lot of the times with digital mediums, so to speak, where, you know, we know too much because of Instagram, social media, Wikipedia, you name it. You have accessibility and knowledge at your fingertips. And I think that's one of the few things I enjoy living here stateside with New Japan Pro Wrestling, is if I don't have the opportunity, because I think we're both on the West Coast, you know, it's kind of Batman hours when they do it live.
Yeah.
So I've talked to other people, and I follow the ritual of when it's a New Japan event and I'm waking up the following morning to watch it, I can't look at social media. It's a moratorium until I get through the actual event. I'm sitting there captivated, just turning off my suspense, my skepticism, any of that, just sitting down and wanting to watch a product, because I enjoy that it's told within the confines of the ring. I don't have to follow somebody's Instagram.
Yep.
I don't have to follow somebody's Twitter. I don't have to watch a YouTube series. I can literally sit and watch Power Struggle like I did a couple days ago and enjoy it for how it is, and have that, you know, escapism and entertainment and athleticism. And I one of the things about Power Struggle that I just recently enjoyed, so we're kind of dating this, is this was Power Struggle 2020, is I love the fact that Jay White won. You know, it was this big historical thing that typically whoever wins the G1 rolls right into Wrestle Kingdom without any hiccups.
Everybody's expecting Kota Ibushi to take that Tokyo Dome moment that he's been so elusive. So a total surprise, the way the way Jay White won that match. Honestly, I would put that in my top 5 matches of the year as well. Just excellence of execution between both those guys, telling that story, extremely physical. Loved it. Yeah, absolutely. And totally surprised me too. So that's what New Japan's great at.
Yeah, I mean, we got a full card of almost 2 nights worth of entertainment coming, and that's kind of the thing. And I appreciate having a magazine that's out there that talks about New Japan as an overview, because it seems like sometimes I have to almost be like a secondary cultural ambassador, because people trying to get on board the New Japan train are like,
and
what's this event?
Confused. Mm-hmm.
And what's the significance? And why is there only juniors here?
That's another reason I wanted to do this too, is because it can be confusing when you first start down the path of trying to get into it. I've got a buddy, super smart guy, he's a graphic designer, works for like Capcom, and lifelong wrestling fan. But he's like, you can't get him in the top of the funnel because the app's confusing. To be able to stream it, you got to pay the $8.99. But where do I start? What storylines do I need to know? I wanted to create something that's like, look, let's capture these important moments, not GIFs. You can look at all the cool spot monkey things on Twitter that you want, but to actually have something that provides context. And then Craig Leask at ProWrestlingMusings.com, he's been working very closely with me. He's an amazing stats guy. So we've got like a stats journalism approach. We're going to be doing that for Kota Ibushi versus Jay White at Power Struggle in issue number 2, a total statistical breakdown that kind of shows the numbers behind the physicality, which I think is cool.
Yeah, and that's just another little element where it's like you can attract people from the UFC or striking or mixed martial arts background, and you have those analytics where you can present that, and it's like, oh, okay, that's another thing on the cake. And also trying to present New Japan in a light to get people to understand it's culturally a little bit different in Japan than it is taken over here stateside in the United States and North America as a whole. I mean, down south in Mexico, they have Lucha Libre, which they consider almost like a celebrity thing in itself.
Yeah, totally. And I love, we had you read the magazine, we had a piece on CMLL and New Japan's relationship and how those two cultures collide, which is very different than what, the WWE presents here in America as well. So There's a lot to love about New Japan as a business, as an organization, the way that they treat their talent, their workers, and the fans. In America, where we don't see a lot of respect sometimes amongst one another when we open up social media, New Japan Twitter has been a safe haven for me. I can open it up, and the fans, the organization, everybody except ELP is extremely respectful to one another. So I just love that. I really do.
Yeah, and I think that was one of the few things, because they're so polite with how they present themselves in a global landscape. They rely on fans like me and yourself, respectively, to kind of be their cheerleaders in that way. And
to understand the difference in culture and how you should, interact.
Yeah, and I think that was one of those things where, they really didn't get the credit that was due to them when they returned. They were one of the first promotions to return, follow safety protocols.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just for the talent, it was for the participants. They were one of the few people to bring back fans safely. And that was a part of their press conference just held less than a day ago, that we were talking about how safe their events have been throughout the course of this year.
For fans on the fence that only have a little bit of time to watch one wrestling promotion, that want to know which way to go, I mean, the way WWE has handled coronavirus versus the way New Japan has handled it, it's a no-brainer. They're fantastic. They know how to run a good business. Structurally, from what I understand, it's been interesting having the international division, try to create this thing and expand it, versus, kind of how businesses are run here, where a lot of wrestlers have a lot of the say, or you got the big McMahon machine, and it's just, a lot of red tape. I'd say it's got a lot of room to grow, especially here. And after kind of being on the brink of bankruptcy, and then, all these guys, Tanahashi, Okada, Naito, bringing the business back and having it not only be sound financially, but culturally relevant is impressive. So there's just, I have nothing but respect for how that's all unfolded. And then when something like a global pandemic, once in a century thing happens, how they treated, like you said, the workers, the fans, and the presentation of the product, it's just, first class all around.
Yeah, I mean, I try to explain it to a lot of people, like, hypothetically, if we didn't have this situation happen in 2020, Okada was going to be an Olympic torchbearer throughout the course of the way to the Olympic Stadium there in Japan. Like, that's a professional wrestler that is going to be held in such high esteem that he gets this honor that's usually only for legendary athletes. When we've seen it here stateside, it's been people like Muhammad Ali that has been an Olympic torchbearer and actually lit, the whole opening ceremony and participated in that. So to have
a pop culture force there, especially
it's this perfect blending of both, where they're held in high regard as entertainers and as athletes on the same par. So I appreciate that the magazine is out there to present it in that light and just have some fun with it and be a resource where people can jump into that right now and kind of have a foundation for being a New Japan fan. That's
what we want. It's not targeted at the hardcore fans as much as it is as new fans who might, I a lot of times I'll kind of hit the vein of something what people are talking about and get a piece of artwork or something kind of trending on Twitter. And I would love for people to just find the link to my magazine and be like, you know what, I'm new to this. It seems really awesome, but how do I start? Boom. You got Monthly Puroresu, however you'd like to pronounce it. Because
I was gonna defer to you for that because I didn't want to butcher it. So
yeah, I'm taking elementary Japanese at Santa Monica College next semester, so maybe I'll have a better foundation. But we'll have to defer to Charlton on that one. But yeah, you nailed it, man. I'm glad you enjoyed that, and I'm glad we're able to sit down and talk about it. So anybody that discovers your video that wants to know about the magazine, they know what's up. This is what it's about.
No, and I appreciate your time too. There'll be a link below for issue number 2 that's on pre-order right now. Besides the magazine
10%
itself.
10% sold out. Yeah, we sold 10% already, so we're on the way.
You're on the path. And there's also, besides the magazine for pre-order right now, there's a really rad vinyl Jay White sticker done by your illustrator that it would be worth picking up if you're a Bullet Club mark, or you're a King Switch fan in general. You know, it's just
Good stuff.
Just a lovely little trinket you can have. So thank you much for your time, Thom. As always,
Thank you,
everybody,
Steve.
you know, thanks for watching. I hope that you have an opportunity to pick up the magazine. Follow Thom on his various social medias, as we're always exchanging quibs, ribs, and chirps on Twitter, respectively. Share this with your New Japan fellow friends and family, and you know, like the video, subscribe, follow my channel, follow Thom on social media. And as always, thank you for your time. Enjoy New Japan Pro Wrestling. Like Thom said, the McMahon Sheen is pretty much the McDonald's of the wrestling genre. Yes, they have served 2 billion people. Yes, they're all over few and far points in between in the world. But at the end of the day, we only have so much time left in this life. Would you rather spend it with quality, good matches, stories told within the ring? They respect their fans. They respect their community. That's New Japan Pro Wrestling. It is quality over quantity. They are the genuine alternative when it comes to pro wrestling, not the self-proclaimed one that you might see on weeknights on a respective syndicated cable network. It takes a little bit harder to find New Japan, but once you do, once you get on that path, once you start following that trail, you're going to not want to get off. You're not going to want to deviate. You're only going to stick on it, enjoy the ride, and have a good time. So thanks as always, and keep it healthy and too sweet.